Hey guys, welcome to Why Not Me Academy. I'm so excited for today's episode. This is a question I get asked all the time. So I'm so glad that Karleen is here with us. Karleen, thanks for being here.
Yay. I'm glad to be here.
Yay. This is a great topic about how to write your book in 60 days. I get asked that all the questions, especially like when I wrote my first book, it was like, how'd you do? Oh, I've always talked about doing it. You always hear about everybody's about to write a book, but actually pulling the trigger. And so this is a topic I get asked about all the time. And on this podcast, we always talk about, we want to get people to stop talking about things, stop dreaming about them, and just start doing them. And so that's what Karleen's going to talk about today. But she also has some cool background that we're going to talk about as well. So Karleen, kind of tell us a little bit about your background and how you got to what you're doing now.
So thank you so much, Melanie, to have me. I am so happy to be here. And talking about this is such a big deal for me, only because I used to deal with about 4,000 women in business. And this was a thing. It's like helping them figure out how to take that leap, right?
Not just women, but I feel like everyone, right? But sorry.
Well, yeah, it just seems like women are like going, yes, 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 I want to. And then they're the ones that go, no, 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 I don't deserve to.
It's true. It's true.
So, but anyway, my background is I have a bachelor's in marketing. I worked with about 60 clients in my first year. Loved it. My specialty work was in public relations. Which meant that I could get them on TV, radio, print, anything that we needed to get them in. That's where I would put them.
Yeah.
From there, I went on and I figured I got to figure something out for some stuff. So I went on and I got my master's in conflict resolution and negotiations.
Holy cow.
Right? And I thought, it was nothing that I thought.
Yeah.
It was nothing that I thought. And it created such an epic shift in my life that I decided I'm focusing in that world and in that space in all the time.
Yeah.
That is a love spot for me. Because I understood it and because, that is where, conflict happens everywhere and it was especially happening for me.
Yeah.
But then I went on and I certified in crisis and hostage negotiations. And I stay in the current in those certifications, but dynamic to see the changes that you can do when you use those skills.
Yeah. That's crazy. I mean, we're going to get into that more because that's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, so let's go back though. What do you find is the biggest issue for people to just writing the book that they talk about doing?
Well, it's interesting because we just launched a little segment. And in that segment, I asked 500 wannabe authors, what is the biggest thing holding you back? 40% of them responded. In that, their number one reason for not getting their book written is because they said they didn't have the time, which was really interesting to me because I thought it would have been something different. It's the beauty of marketing and conflict resolution. You're asking the questions and you know what to do with the answers.
Yeah.
So we found out that is their biggest concern going on. Another one that they were concerned about is, will anybody want to listen? Will anybody read? Isn't everybody writing what I'm writing? And the answer is no. Yeah. People may be writing under the same umbrella, but it's your story that becomes unique.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's so true. And, it does take time. It totally does. But at the same time,
there's workarounds in that, Melanie. And that's the thing is that when people start working with me, we show them. I mean, I was rearing a house of 10.
Yeah.
I know what that looks like. I was going to school full time. Had my own business. I know what time looks like and how valuable it is to us. So, but I show you some of the workarounds to be able to get around that.
Okay. Dude, I'm in. I want to do it. All right. So let's talk about your background, your education in crisis, conflict and hostage negotiations and writing a book. Do you feel like there's any connection between those two?
I know, right? I mean, you would automatically think, I don't even see it. But here's the deal. No matter what happens, I am in the business of comfort.
Yeah.
Knowing that, so one of the stories that I have is I was dealing with a 16-year-old on a suicide call. Mm-hmm. And she began to as I began to work through the process and go through the steps with her, what I discovered is she was telling me a story. And if I knew how to take that story and shape it,
Yeah.
if I knew how to do that, it created relief for her. It settled things. It created a foundation where she could problem solve and get creative, as long as somebody was there kind of helping her massage through it. And that was an epic understanding for me, is realizing that being in the comfort business, it's what works. It's what works for people.
Yeah.
And what I have found is allowing people to find their story, share their story, understand their message, those pieces, allowing people to do that does create comfort.
Huh.
It does decrease tension and stress and anxiety. It does create a decrease in depression. When I sit on my calls with my authors, afterwards, like I just had one this week, and she goes, I don't need to go see my counselor anymore. I just had a session with you. So it was super sweet, but that's how, if you truly write from a place of genuine authenticity, you are going to find so much truth in there. And that's why when I went back to school and I said it was an epic shift,
Yeah.
that's how that happened for me, is I had to get so real and honest about myself to myself. And it was ugly.
Yeah.
It was just ugly. So anyway, but that is kind of the connection. I am in the business that no matter what, it's about comfort, and working through your stories will bring you comfort.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. And maybe that's the answer to my next question. But my next question is what is the most powerful part of writing a book to become like a thought leader?
And we should be thought leaders.
Yeah.
At the end of the day. And I think the best part for me is watching the transition. That is the best part for me in everything, in my conflict and crisis and hostage. It's watching the transition, because there will be a transition. If you are not trying to be a template person, if you are actually trying to rise and you're willing to get a little uncomfortable in a safe space, you will rise to be a thought leader. And when you see that change, everything starts to flip. And the tone changes, and the writing style changes, and the lessons learned changes. It's just beautiful to watch that.
That is awesome. That's really cool. Now, so tell me how you do. What exactly do you do, and how do you help people become a thought leader?
So in the Write and Publish in 60 Days program, we take people from not even an idea, and people drop into 3 different authors. So one of them is, I'm really excited to do it. I have no idea what I'm going to write about. One is, I kind of know maybe, but I need a little help getting there. And the other one is, I have 15 different ideas and I don't even know where to start. So when you drop into one of those,
Yeah.
then what you do is you work your way through it. We take you from that all the way to the printed book in hand. And that's the whole process. We try and make it super simple, because most of the time we're working with first-time authors. They may have been writing for a few years, but they haven't fine-tuned it. They haven't edited it. They haven't finessed it.
Yeah.
And if they've been doing it for a couple of years, their voice has changed anyway. Their experiences have, so everything changes.
Yeah.
But we take them from that beginning point of, I don't even know what I'm going to write about, all the way to the printed product.
When you say that, you don't actually do the editing though, right? But you teach them how to find an editor and that sort of thing?
How to find an editor. And then we have editors in our back pocket that you can go to.
Okay.
That we can access through our organization so that they can get those things edited.
So you coach people and guide them through how to get the book up and out to the public.
Yep. 100%. Okay. And I shared before with you that I had a magazine. I took it as a loss leader. It was tanked. And I took it over. We made it the #1 in the state in less than a year.
Yeah.
And I worked with about 50 authors at that time. And so just seeing all the different writing styles, knowing how it all works, all of that is kind of what brought that to the center.
Yeah. And you used to work with people live, but now you have an awesome online course. And so why, tell me more, I assume because of ease, but why else?
Well, one, because of this epic shift and understanding how conflict works and how we have voices and we know it. I
Yeah.
mean, like, we know we have a voice, but we aren't always given the position to use it.
Yeah.
And that's what this will do. But we brought it online because when I was working with face-to-face people, I was limited to geography, limited to who could afford it. And I charged a hearty sum,
Yeah.
a hearty sum for that program.
Yeah.
And I did have people in it. And I thought, you know what? What could I do if I created it online and I created something that they can go in and work at their leisure
Yeah.
throughout that? What would happen? And then I decreased the cost. What would that look like? And it became just a no-brainer.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. That's why I'm right there with you. That's why, I mean, that's the wave of the future. That's why my courses are all online. I still love to do live boot camps with them and masterminds, but it's in addition to, let's get you all at this baseline and then we'll add on, depending on your level, which
Yeah.
I think
You and
saves.
I sing the same songs.
Yeah, we do. We are sisters at heart. It's the Hawaiian in us. Okay, so now I'm going to ask you a few questions that I get asked all the time, but I'm going to ask you as the expert. Okay, so
Okay.
should if I'm thinking about writing a book, should I self-publish or should I find a publisher?
Um, so yes and yes, but it depends on your goal. If your goal is I want to create revenue right now, then start writing right now. Get to it. Get your work done. If you want to become a thought leader, you know what? Between now and whenever you finally do get to that publisher, somebody else can already be the thought leader.
Yeah.
The process, the politics, the marketing campaign. I know that if you want to be a New York Times bestseller, there's two ways to do it. You either have a large following or you have the money to do it. Because those are the two things that they look at.
Yeah.
And that's not just, I mean, that's New York Times bestseller level.
Yeah.
Okay. So everybody else is below that. And there are people that can work with that, but they want you to have a marketing plan too.
Yeah.
So you'll need to go with that. If you self-publish, guess what? Nobody stands in your way. And I completely get behind that one because my thing is I need to get people, get yourself on stages, get yourself talking and speaking places, get yourself exposed, share your message, get your lessons learned out there. Show people, show them your voice because people are out there waiting to hear from you specifically. I wholeheartedly believe that. So it just depends on the goal. I go straight for the revenue.
Yeah.
I want to see results. I don't want a 1-year plan. I want a 60-day plan, and then I can go. All of my authors that I've worked with, they have usually had speaking gigs, probably latest 6 weeks after they published.
Awesome.
And that one that I'm thinking of, 6 weeks after he published, he had 11 of them.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So fantastic. And so he was already making money. The one that we just recently, a little fanfare on her, she didn't even have her book in hand for her first speaking gig. So she got it just days before. Super cool story about her, though. She ended up within, I think, a month after that speaking, she ended up being approached by somebody who had about 80,000 followers and said, we want you to become the thought leader in our group of 80,000 in this specific area of what she wrote her book on.
Oh,
Bam.
wow.
It's so incredible. That is the power of just deciding to go forward.
That is awesome. Now, two things when you were talking. One, let's talk about that real quick. Now, when we're talking, because both of us, we're in the mindset of, kind of like more self-help style books, but do you also help people who are in other genres of fantasy and whatever type of book? Or do you focus mostly on, uh, you know, entrepreneurial, self-help, that kind of thing?
I focus probably more on nonfiction,
Okay.
business, how to become a thought leader. What's the information you have that can help you become a thought leader? If you want to be a thought leader, it's like you don't do that in fantasy work until you become like Twilight.
Yes. Yeah.
And then you become the instant thought leader. But we want, or I want, people to make money, or I want their voice to be heard, or I want their story to be told. And I find that happens in nonfiction work and business work.
Awesome. Now, when you talk about you want to help people make money, would you say that the book is at all a big stream of income, or the book helps them get better?
The book is your catalyst.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the book is that springboard, that diving board, that big jump. It gives you the leap. Now, will you sell books? Yes, you'll sell books, but nothing like what, I mean, she sold, like this gal, the one that ended up going to becoming a thought leader, she sold, I think at her first event, she probably sold about 20 books.
Okay.
But you know what? She's going in front of 80,000 people now. So
Yeah.
I don't know which one makes more money.
Yes.
That's a no-brainer, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I hear people talking about how, especially if you're in the speaking world or whatever, that, basically books are the new business card. And you just got to get it out there. You got to get it out in front of the world, and but have it be something that you're proud of. But you don't need to spend years writing your life's work.
Yeah, and Melanie, I totally agree with that 100%. I am not looking for perfection. I am looking for concise, understood, focused thoughts.
Yes.
And being able to articulate that in your own authentic voice. And then you will soar. Because
yes.
Then you have there's no barrier. It's not something you have to go back and go, okay, what did I say about that? What are those tips? You already know because you created.
Well, and I love that you're talking about like that you have editors that you use and recommend. When I first used my first editor, they were really, really good at what they did, but they didn't understand. I'm going to call it the Rachel Hollis voice of when you read a Rachel Hollis book, you feel like you're sitting there and talking to her, right? And you feel that conversation coming through. And this editor that I first used came highly recommended, but was very particular of, you usually don't say that in writing. And I'm like, well, I think you do now. Like editing, you think it's just punctuation, you think it's just grammar, but that has evolved into a writing style. To be a thought leader is a different type of writing, which is awesome that you have this course to back that up to help you to become a thought leader, which is awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. And yes, I totally agree. We have evolved. We've become more, people want to be more connected.
Yeah.
And so like one of the things that we talk about in the program is when you find an editor, here are the things that you need to let them know. It's like hiring somebody for a job.
Yeah.
You need to let them know the expectation, what their limits are, what their liberties are, where you want them to focus. I don't need you to change my word usage. What I need you to do is just polish it out.
Yeah.
Things like that are really important, that you give good instructions to your editors, to your photographers, all of those pieces moving forward. So yeah, we cover that in our course.
Perfect. Okay. A couple other questions that I get a lot about the book topic. To be a thought leader or to just have, this type of book that we're talking about, what should be a rough word count, would you say?
About 20,000 is pretty common. You're going to find that over 60% of the people don't read a whole book.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
So there are certain pieces that become pivotal in creating a good book. And you have to know what those are, and you need to know how to finesse and focus, become laser focused in those areas. But 20,000 words is at about an 11 or 12 font. And you're looking at a 5x7 or 6x9 size book.
Perfect. Okay. And I've heard 20 to 40,000, depending on if you're like actually training people on something. So yeah, that's awesome. So they can come, they can do your course, they can find out the steps, but how much can somebody expect to pay? Like you're going to need an editor, you're going to need somebody to do your book cover. What would you say is a rough idea for a $20,000 word book? How much should they plan on setting aside to get this book from thought to print?
Okay.
So we've got like editing, whatever.
Mm-hmm. So I am a bootstrapper. So I always recommend the easier, shorter ways to go in our program. And then if you want to go, you know what, I don't want the headache of dealing with that, give me somebody that can handle that. that's when you can piecemeal things out. The beauty of going through it yourself and like suffering through
Yes.
yourself in some ways is then you understand the process. So when you go and you say, look, I need a photographer to do this, you know what it's used for, how it's used, how it's going to be dropped in, all of those pieces, what the light looks like, what color schemes, what, how that's going to play out. That's the benefit of trying to suffer through it when you first start. If you want to piecemeal something, now I'm going to be really honest with you.
Yeah.
So when I did my program face to face, and I know people just don't, no judgment,
Of course. We're friends here. Yes.
So in my book writing program, I charged $50,000.
Okay.
And that was a hefty chunk of change.
Yeah.
And we went through all the processes. Now, all that said, that's not the way it needs to run.
Yeah.
And you can feasibly do it. And I know I told you, Melanie, that we're always going to offer you a special rate.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at, okay, if you really outsource most of your stuff, you write the words, you outsource your layouts, you outsource your graphic design, you outsource your editing, you outsource your proofing pieces. You're probably, and I'm going to bootstrap in my head, you're probably going to spend outside of your own book writing piece, you'd probably spend about $25,000, maybe $5,000 to do everything like somebody else doing it.
But you're saying with your course, they can also do it. Take the course. We're going to teach you how to do it every single inch of the way.
Yes, I'll show you how to do all of those pieces. So if you can't do that, guess what? You're probably not even going to pay $2,500.
Yeah.
For everything. So that's the win here. And that's why I love doing this so much, because now I've leveled the playing field. There are still people out there charging about $13,000 is the cheapest I've seen of quality. Quality people showing you how to do it. About $13,000 is the cheapest I've seen. And we're knocking that off the hook there with that through our program.
Awesome. So do you also in your course talk about how to actually market your book? Not just how to get it, but how to market it at all?
So the really cool thing is that was my work originally before all of this started. And I do have a segment that I let people access separately.
Okay.
It's comprehensive. However, sometimes I'll offer it as part of a bonus package.
Okay.
And you know what? I'd be willing to do the same for you, Melanie.
And my listeners, I love it. Okay.
So I can add that in to always your package, that the marketing segment comes with it. And I will tell you in that marketing segment, again, like this, no judgment, I used to charge $7,000 just for that.
Just for that, because that's huge. I've taken book writing courses before. I've taken online courses, and I'm kind of like, okay, I've got the book, but I don't need to be a New York Times bestseller. But how do I even become an Amazon bestseller? It's pretty easy to do once you learn how to do it. But how do I do that part? So, excuse me, I'm getting all choked up about it. But yes, I love that you have that, and that's an awesome freebie. And I'm sorry if I forced you into a corner, but
no, I'm so happy about it. Yeah.
On behalf of me and my listeners, I'm so glad. So thank you. So, what would you say is the biggest takeaway for people who have thought about writing a book? Like, what is your advice to them of how to go from I really want to write a book to what's the advice you'd give to them?
Besides reaching through and going, come on. Besides that, you mean?
Other than that, yeah.
I think my number one piece of advice is, if you've thought about it, you need somebody like me. Even if it's not me, even if it wasn't me, and I totally advocate that it should be me, but you know what? If it's not me, you need to have somebody.
Yeah.
You should always have somebody as a sounding board. And it can't be a friend, you guys. Your friends are going to lie to you. flat out, they're going to lie to you.
Yeah.
Because they love you and they want you happy and they don't want to hurt you and see you in pain.
Yeah.
So they're not going to tell you the truth. So you need somebody that's going to help you go, okay, deadlines, accountability. That is, I think, the most critical piece that I have seen so far.
Yeah.
My personal counsel or my personal, I don't know,
Advice.
takeaway,
Yeah.
is if you have ever felt the nudge, then you need to trust it. One of the biggest things that I see happens is people go, oh my gosh, I feel like should I? And they trepidate over this thing. It doesn't matter to me what it is. It could be an online course to know how to sell retail. It doesn't matter. If you have a nudge that you should be involved with it, then everything else gets pushed aside and you trust your gut with that. You trust that feeling. That is going to be the feeling that makes you an authentic author. That is going to be the feeling that helps you push through. That is going to be the feeling that helps you find your voice in all of this and will help you create that message that needs to be said. That will be it. So trust the gut.
Yeah.
And just know any other hiccup that you have in between that and pulling the trigger is going to be barriers that you've self-created.
Yes.
You will self-create, self-sabotage. You will find ways to make sure you can't rise.
Yeah.
But just do it.
Yeah.
And if we're women, I can't even go there.
We are hard on ourselves, huh? So that would be, so that's the biggest takeaway is, and for those looking to just get started, your advice is to go out there and whether it's you or someone else, find an accountability partner that's going to be honest with you.
Well, you need to find somebody that understands the process.
Okay.
And that's why I feel like my program is epic. I went and found somebody that understood the process even better than I did. And then I applied his skills. I applied his instructions and I finessed them with my own and what I understood with conflict.
Yeah.
And it is a beautiful union. And when I said I went to somebody, I went to the top dogs. I went to New York Times bestseller and said, show me the way. And so then I tested it on my own writing ability, my own ability to get through that. So I know what that looks like. But then I realized I had nobody that would would poke at me and go, I don't hear the genuineness in that.
Yeah.
Tell me more about it. What does that actually look like to you? And it helps you through that. So it's a lot more than accountability, Melanie.
Yeah.
It's more of somebody that can walk you through the whole process, handhold, and accountability will be part of that piece.
Awesome. Where do people find you? How can they reach out to you?
I gave you the link. We are on the bracenlearning.com.
Okay.
And I think to get to our course, it's courses.bracenlearning.com.
Yeah. We'll put it in the show notes as well. So definitely click on it in the show notes. Should they follow anyone on Instagram or anything like that? Or just go to the website and check out your course?
Just go to the website and check out the course. We will have, invite you in to our Facebook group where we're pretty hardy in there.
Okay.
And that's kind of where we'll be, but that is a closed group.
What's the name of the Facebook group?
Write and Publish.
Okay. All right. Write and Publish. Awesome. Thank you so much, Karleen, for dropping all your wisdom. You've been super, super helpful. So thank you.
Happy to do it. Thanks for the connection. I feel honored that we connected. You and I, we just had all these simpatico things.
We totally did. So I'll close off and thanks so much for joining.